Nowhere else in the world are you going to find a season quite like this. As the prophecy is foretold, season 5 is now here. It's been upon us, it's been building. Slowly in the background, current reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion Kevin Harvick has been enjoying the offseason. Neko Darius Racing over at in Georgia has been taking a look at what they can do coming into the new season. We've got several new drivers in new places, new faces all over the place. Is 2007 finally the year where we can see Honda at the top step of the championship? Or will it be one of our newcomers? Welcome everybody to season 5, the most chaotic season you've ever seen in NASCAR Thunder 2004. I want to give a shout out to Pickled Mink and Austin for putting together this amazing pack for me. From optimizing the pack to working on the pack to just doing everything they could in their powers to help see my envision come to fruition. Did I say envision? You guys can probably tell I'm extremely excited, but my vision has come to fruition and I'm very excited to bring you guys this new season. As you can already see, we've already got a special, paint scheme for the 2006 NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Gone are the days of good wrench on the side of his car. Now he's got Pennzoil and his Pennzoil Ultra for Kevin Harvick, 2006 NASCAR champion. Then we've got a lot of moves everywhere. Pretty sure you guys can already see where one driver has wound up. And guess what? That driver in particular was second in the NASCAR Cup Series championship just last season. So how did we get to this point where you see a driver already moved? Well, it started in the offseason. When the checkered flag fell at the end of 2006, a lot of teams realized something was brewing. Dodge pulled out of NASCAR. That sent a cataclysmic shift in the entire sport. Honda had decided to make the decision to start looking for more teams to add. Nobody's going to usurp the Honda Neko Darius Racing team as their top team, but they needed more numbers. You've got Chevy sitting here trying to bolster what numbers they have. And you've got Ford just trying to stay afloat with a lot of veteran talent. In the end, we wound up getting something so unbelievably profound to happen that it shook the entire sport to the core. Chasing after Honda after they left Formula One was BMW, looking to also find their own success in the American market. BMW bought out the rights of several different NASCAR Winston Cup teams that were just looking for a new manufacturer, considering that they lost who they had. This led to BMW throwing out the big bucks for a lot of big name talent and a lot of franchises, to say the least. This led to another civil war amongst the teams. Yes, another civil war. They unintentionally threw big money and big promises at two teams that had already huge hopes and egos coming into 2007. That being Joe Gibbs Racing and Penske Motorsports. But there was another shift, one that was even bigger and never seen before. I'm talking about the fracturing of Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick Motorsports for many years had been held up by Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, and the very young and still maturing Kyle Busch. However, Jeff Gordon wanted a new challenge. He wanted to do something that had never been done before. So he set out to do the thing that no one thought was possible. Jeff Gordon left Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmy Johnson left Hendrick Motorsports. Brian Vickers lost his ride suddenly because Rick Hendrick was looking for someone to fill those holes that he needed on his team so he could still be at the top of the Chevy food chain. Enter a young Kyle Busch, still in the number 5, handpicked by Rick Hendrick himself to guide that team to the top of the sport. It's a lot of pressure for a guy who literally was racing as a rookie a few seasons ago. Will Kyle Busch be up to the challenge? Only time will tell. Ford is literally going to be led by Roush Racing. And yes, that includes Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, and of course, a few other surprise names. Ford has the most experience amongst their ranks. They've got a lot of veteran talent all over the place, which also includes Wood Brothers Racing. A reinvigorated Wood Brothers Racing, I might add. Ryan Newman has left Penske, and he went over to DEI because amongst all the shifts of Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson leaving their teams, Dale Earnhardt Jr. made a surprising move himself. He left DEI. And before you think about it, he was courted by Rick Hendrick. But he didn't wind up at Rick Hendrick. He didn't wind up at Hendrick Motorsports in 2007. He wound up somewhere far more prestigious, somewhere where his legacy could possibly even grow. So, I've given you guys a good 6 minutes worth of tease. I've shown you guys 2 different cars. It's time for me to show you guys the entire field. As the sun rises on 2007, Brad Keselowski elevated to the NASCAR Cup Series, racing the number 1 for DEI. With BMW's entry into the sport, they needed a really top team. Henceforth, you'll see Kurt Busch racing a BMW in the year 2007. Your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. That is officially the number 3 car back in NASCAR. And the driver is none other than Dale Earnhardt Jr. After a few middling seasons in the DEI number 8, Dale Jr. wanted to try his hand at taking on a bigger challenge. The crushing weight of a legacy, as well as a chance to possibly get that championship that he has been looking for since the year 2003. Will this be the year for Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Time will tell. Morgan McLaren Motorsports is back yet again this season, and this time they brought Casey Atwood. Casey Atwood, looking for another return to the sport, is looking for that one opportunity where he could possibly make his name in the series. He's always struggled when it comes down to big time racing. Will 2007 be the year he breaks that collar? We've seen a lot of shocking winners over the years. Maybe Casey Atwood could be the next one. As I stated in the intro, Kyle Busch returns to the 5 car, one of the few drivers who does retain his original ride. Kyle Busch is going to be sporting Hooters this upcoming season, and that means he's got the pressure of Hooters, but he's also got the pressure of maintaining the Hendrick Motorsports Brigade. Gone is Mark Martin from Roush Racing. Instead, there's a young guy taking over, a small guy from Peachtree City. Oh, wait. There's a young guy now in the 6 car. Gone is 2003 champion Mark Martin. Instead, that seat is now being filled by a hand-picked talent by Jack Roush. That being one David Reagan. Robbie Gordon is used to being a team owner at this point. This is now his 2nd season. He has nobody to answer to except for himself. So, keeping with his own traditions and his own mindset, he's left Ford and he's now on Chevy. And he's racing for himself. No friends, only rivals. That's the Robbie Gordon way for 2007. It's not a new home for Paul Menard, but with that Menard's money, somebody had to take over the legendary 8 car. Henceforth, they tabbed Paul Menard to drive the number 8 and no longer the number 15. Still at Evernham, Casey Kane is now racing a BMW. There's not much to say for Casey Kane. He was showing some very good flashes last season. Can this season be the season where he bounds his way up to the top of the steps? Time will have to tell. But Casey Kane returns in the number 9 car, and this time it's a BMW M8. Following the split of Hendrick Motorsports with Jeff Gordon going one way, Jimmy Johnson going the other, Chad Knaus and Jeff Gordon partnered for a brand new team in NASCAR. That being the 10 car, driven by none other than Casey Mears. This is a BMW So, welcome for the first season, the Gordon Canals Racing entry. Tony Stewart didn't want to be a part of all the political drama that was happening between the entire Joe Gibbs organization. So he left, took his money, and said, I'm going to start my own team. So, welcome to the series, the Tony Stewart Racing Ford, sponsored by Home Depot and Budweiser. DEI still has some shoes to fill, and they found that driver that they needed. That's none other than Rocket Man himself, hoping to make Dale Jr. a little jealous if he has to be staring at the back of the number 15 Alltel Chevy. They signed Ryan Newman. Much of Rouse Racing stayed the same. That includes Greg Biffle in the 16 car. And we've already explained it before, but that also includes Matt Kenseth. Looking for a chance to redeem himself is none other than JJ Yeley. JJ Yeley didn't have as many starts as he would have liked last season. He actually wound up getting demoted really early on. This season, he's out for revenge, and he's hoping that number 18 DLP BMW M8 for Joe Gibbs Racing puts on a good show. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and he believes he belongs here. Can JJ Yeley surprise us in 2007? Evernham Motorsports decided to look within themselves a little bit. They were already courting a very floundering Elliott Sadler at the end of 2006. Sadler came to the team. BMW joined the series. Dodge left. And somehow, Elliott Sadler comes out smelling like roses, driving the number 19 Best Buy Xbox 360 BMW in 2007. The number 20 car needed a driver, and Joe Gibbs didn't want to let that number go away. So he looked for Daytona 500 champion Martin Truex Jr. to take over the number 20 car, and this time he brought the Busch Series sponsorship, Rockwell Automation, up to the top step of the sport. Can Martin Truex Jr. get another Daytona 500 in 2007? Can Martin Truex Jr. be a pain in the side of Honda Neco Darius Racing? Time will tell. A popular destination spot for a lot of drivers looking to wrap up their illustrious careers is the Wood Brothers Racing Team. But they've got a very unique driver there, that being Mark Martin. Mark Martin is now racing for the Wood Brothers. And considering that he has had a ton of success with a Ford, could Mark Martin surprise everybody and win a championship in his final season in NASCAR? Honda didn't want to let Joe Agee go, and they kept him in the family. Joe did leave Honda Neco Darius Racing though. So, Joe went to the only other spot that he could definitely land at and be one of the top leaders on the team. That being Bill Davis Racing. He's their number one driver over at Bill Davis Racing with that Honda Civic Type R. Could Joe actually surprise us this season and become that upper echelon talent that he believes in himself that he can be? Joe Gibbs and Jeff Gordon. Name a more iconic pair. I'll wait. Jeff Gordon brings the number 24 car over to Joe Gibbs Racing, and this time it's Joe Gibbs Racing BMW. Yes, the great Jeff Gordon racing the number 24, but this time for Joe Gibbs Racing and his new manufacturer, BMW. Denny Hamlin kind of lucked up here. He winds up at a really good organization, the second one that he's had his entire career, which was Joe Gibbs first, and now he's over at Hendrick, racing the number 25 car, which means he's paired up with a very feisty and fiery Kyle Busch. Could this be the year for Denny Hamlin? He showed really well last season. Denny Hamlin could be a surprising pick. Jamie McMurray is one of the few drivers who managed to maintain his ride into this season, and that means he's going to still be piloting the number 26 car for Roush Racing. And we've already discussed this earlier, but Kevin Harvick returns in the 29 car, the current defending series champion who snaps the streak from Neco Darius. Kevin Harvick looks to possibly go 2 for 2, this time with his new sponsor Pennzoil. Could we see the 29 car at the top again? Or will Dale Jr. be the pain in his side that he's hoping he won't be? Also at RCR, is the number 31 of Jeff Burton. Still here, still kicking. Jeff Burton couldn't find a way to get himself out of his ride at the singular wireless number 31, and probably for the best. He saw the success that Kevin Harvick had, and now he's paired up with Dale Earnhardt Jr. This could be a super team in the making for RCR. Robert Gates Racing had to replace their entire stable. So they went to David Gilliland down in the Busch Series, had a really good race down there, and that earned him a full-time ride. So he's going to be racing the number 38 M&M's car. Chip Ganassi decided to leave the Dodge line after, Dodge left. And rather than go with everybody else over to BMW, Chip Ganassi chose a different route. He went to Chevrolet. So it's a reunion of sorts for Chip Ganassi Racing. We have David Stremme driving the number 40, the number 41 being driven by Reed Sorensen, and the 42 being driven by rookie Juan Pablo Montoya. With Dodge backing out of the sport, Petty Enterprises was dealt a very rough hand. A hand that they were willing to take in stride because of a working relationship with a former driver in their stable. That being John Andretti. Andretti has left the sport. However, he didn't leave the sport alone. He gave his contact information to Petty Enterprises' top bosses. And Petty called, who you probably have already guessed. They contacted Neco Darius and asked if Honda had any space for them. Neco Darius obliged. So Petty Enterprises is racing Honda with Bobby Labonte, a driver who really surprised last season. And Bobby Labonte surprised again this season, driving for Honda. Your eyes aren't deceiving you. That is the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. Or wait. No, it's not. Your eyes did deceive you. That's actually the number 48 Honda Civic Type R. And yes, if you guessed where he's at, you probably are correct. Jimmy Johnson is now racing with Honda Neco Darius Racing as the second driver to Neco Darius himself. Can Jimmy Johnson find his way to victory lane this upcoming season? We teased about this driver on the community wall, and a lot of you guys didn't even get it right. The number 56 Ford Fusion is now being driven by Stephen W. 1323, and his team is none other than Tony Stewart Racing. Eric Almirola finds himself in the top level of sport, driving the number 96 BMW for Hall of Fame Racing. Ever since taking over the 99 for Roush Racing, Carl Edwards returns. Clint Boyer maintains his ride at RCR, driving the 07. A driver we would be remiss to mention is Sterling Marlin, this year driving a part-time schedule for Chip Ganassi. Sterling Marlin finds himself in the 39. He opted out of getting back into the number 40 and decided to stick with the 39. Red Bull Racing returns with a fleet of drivers, led by Brian Vickers and AJ Allmendinger. But they've also added another driver to their ranks, that being the 82 of Scott Speed. Red Bull Racing with Honda support is looking extremely strong coming into the season. All it's going to come down to now is if the driver of the 82 car can actually qualify for some races, we can see 3 Red Bull Racing Honda Civic Type Rs in the field. Another driver we can't miss would happen to be the 00 of David Rudiman, racing for Honda Michael Waltrip Racing. And no, it's not Honda Michael Waltrip Racing, but he is racing a Honda, and he is racing for Michael Waltrip Racing. We would be remiss to mention or to miss this team. They're going to probably be near the back of the field, or they could be near the front. Never know. However, I guess I did forget one other thing, huh? That would be the 2007 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Considering this video is already long enough, maybe I should hold off on that. Maybe I should give you guys another little bit of time to mull over all the driver changes. And by the way, there are a few drivers that have changed and or come into the sport that I didn't mention. I'm going to leave those up as surprise entries for the upcoming season. A lot of these guys still haven't signed their names on the dotted lines. Let's say that. The upcoming season schedule this year is Daytona to start off, Obviously, you always start off with the Daytona 500, and the Daytona 500 maintains its rightful place at the top of the schedule because tradition. The second race of the season finds us at Devil's Canyon. This track is making a very surprising return. A lot of drivers were extremely excited with what transpired in the Tumbleweed 300. So we can see this track making its re-debut of sorts. Can Devil's Canyon be an early change to the point standings? The sport then heads to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the third race of the season. This seems to be a very unique track. It's high speed, it's fast, and this would be a good place for a lot of teams to show off exactly what their mile-and-a-half programs are worth early in the year. You like short track racing? Necco Dairies doesn't. Martinsville makes its return to the calendar as the fourth race this season, much earlier in the year, which means a lot of beating, banging, and hopefully more rivalries to come. Las Vegas is the fifth race on the calendar. This time, it's fast-paced, a momentum track of sorts. The second real chance for teams to show what they can do on these large tracks that usually dominate the schedule. Do we see a surprising winner at Las Vegas? The rights and the lefts come pretty early this season. With Devil's Canyon Speedway being the second race on the calendar, Watkins Glen finds its way to the number 6 race of the season. We have plenty of racing still left to go. The 7th race of the season finds us at Chicagoland. Dockside makes a return to the calendar, but this time it's been moved down to the 8th race of the season, which will hopefully bring a little bit more chaos with this unique layout. It's fast, it's unique, it's a carbon copy of Atlanta and Lowe's. Texas Motor Speedway is the 9th race of the season. This track was a killer on tires last season. Richmond makes an early return to the schedule. This time it's the daylight track and it's the 10th race of the season. California is laying dormant and most likely being deconstructed right now as you watch this video. California is still here in our hearts. California makes it as the 11th race of the season under the lights. New Hampshire is officially the 12th race of the season. It's insanely fast, unrestricted engines, and its drivers going right rather than just left. We return to Tiburon. This time as the 13th race in the very long calendar. Could this wild card race prove to be the deciding factor of an early season points lead? At race number 13, we'll just have to wait and see. Phoenix gets the opportunity to be the 14th race of the season. Much earlier in the year than usual, milder temperatures will hopefully leave drivers with a lot more grip around the track. Only time will tell how that really will turn out though. Going from Watkins Glen all the way to Sonoma, California, the 15th race of the season finds us at another road course. This time, it's Sonoma, a track that has been very good to a lot of drivers, especially your very favorite road course ringers. Talladega lights up the night sky. Race number 16 finds you under the lights. Talladega. Miami had enough space for 2 racetracks. Go figure. So, Homestead reverts back to his 2002 configuration. They have the 2003 configuration right next door, but for this season, they wanted to go back to the old flat track days. So Homestead, which is flat, will take on the schedule at number 17. Sawmill caused some drivers a lot of problems last season. This season, it returns. It's the 18th race of the beautiful calendar, and things could be very interesting driving through the woods this year. We're in a very tough stretch of the year, and temperatures are very hot. So, what better way to cool down than under the lights in Dover. Pocono is on the calendar, a track that has been very good to several drivers this upcoming season. We'll see Pocono Raceway as the 20th race of the season. You want a strategic race? Well, you've got one. The 21st race of the season finds NASCAR going back to Phoenix, this time in the infield. And those that watched last season know Neko Darius Racing feels very slighted by what happened. Can this season prove to be a little bit different for our heroes? Only time will have to tell. But at the 21st race of the season, no one's thinking about it yet. But it's going to be an ever-present threat, especially really close to the chase. Prestige, legacy. Those are just two words to characterize what is Indianapolis. The 22nd race of the calendar finds all the teams heading to Indiana for the Indianapolis race for the Brickyard 400, a historic race that many drivers are still looking to win. Can we find somebody new winning in Indy? You have to find out. Rockingham returns to the schedule, this time a little bit further down. The 23rd race of the season finds everybody racing at the Rock under the lights. New York returns. It's the final push right before the playoffs begin. With number 24 on the calendar, New York could be that one track that could find a lot of drivers' hopes and dreams of being in the chase dashed real quick. With all the wild cards on the season, Texas Infield makes a surprising return. The 25th race of the calendar, right before the cutoff for the chase. We'll find teams facing the Texas Infield. The cutoff race for the championship playoffs finds everybody heading to Martinsville. Can Martinsville Speedway be that one key factor that keeps the intensity high with multiple teams trying to get their way into the chase? The 26th race of the calendar could be very interesting for some drivers. Michigan will kick off the upcoming chase for the Cup season. A home track for Stephen W. 1323. Could Michigan be that one deciding factor for Stephen if he makes the chase to possibly propel himself to the top of the standings? Pure grit, drama, wall riding, and the playoffs? Under the lights at Darlington in Darlington, South Carolina. Race number 28. The beach was very popular with a lot of drivers last year. This time, NASCAR decided to put the beach race in the chase. The 29th race of the season, in the middle of the chase for the Cup, finds the teams taking on the Daytona Beach, a classic throwback of sorts. What's a chase type push without a little bit of Dover International Speedway mixed in? Yes, we return to Dover pretty early, but this time it's race number 30, and this time it's also still in the chase for the Cup. Kansas plays host to a lot of good races. You've seen close finishes, you've seen errors, you've seen mistakes. Kansas's position in the chase could see a lot of teams struggle to continue to close gaps or even maintain points gaps. The 31st race of the season, Kansas Speedway, under the lights. What's a chase without a little bit of a twist? Or 2, or 10? Watkins Glen is in the chase, under the lights. Race number 32 finds all the teams heading back up to New York for another road course race. You go from one extreme of road coursing to another, short, tight racing in Bristol. Peak short track racing makes its beautiful return back into the chase. This time, race number 33 on the season is Bristol. You didn't think we were over with the twists and the turns, did you? Because if you thought we were done, Pocono Infield is the 34th race of the season, still in the chase, and any teams that can get to this point of the season with a nice sizable gap may see that gap erased because the Pocono infield has never been raced before. This track is an absolute wild card. Anything can happen here. This track was also missing from the calendar last season. Making its surprising return as the 35th race of the season is Talladega's infield. Can any teams escape Alabama with their car still intact? The season finally comes to a very beautiful end. It'll be under the lights at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This classic 1.5 mile championship finale could see multiple teams coming down to the wire. Plus, the All-Star race has moved back this far into the season, which means you're going to get a lot of action for the final races of the season. So that's the gist of the upcoming season. The year 2007 is upon us. Will we see something that we've never seen before? Manufacturer civil war, drivers in new places, familiar faces in new places. A brand new outlook for Honda Neco Darius Racing, new teammates at Honda Neco Darius Racing, new drivers all over the place, new team philosophies. Everything is coming. I hope that the season really takes the cake, so to say. You know, there's been a lot of drivers, a lot of, creators out there that have made their own stories. We've spun as best of a story as we could coming into this season. I think this by far will be the best season that we've had because I am not expecting anything from myself. My expectations for me personally is all about what can I do to further the story and make things more enjoyable for those that want to watch. That's my goal. All right, now we've officially signed our entire team, and it looks like actually these are all returners. Plus, it was negligible at one point, but I kind of forgot to mention that we did get a entire season refresh from the garage. So I'll walk you guys through that here in a second. Actually, I won't be able to show you guys anything relating to what's been going on in the garage because I forgot. Technically, because exhibition, these things won't actually update properly. And they didn't, which is kind of my fault. But don't worry, I'll explain everything to you guys when it comes time for me to explain it to y'all. So episode 1. So we're just going to go ahead and jump straight to the exhibition. New cars, new people, new places. These are all the pole winners from the last season. And of course, a couple of others that were thrown in there. So we'll have to see how this kind of goes. So I'll see you guys at Daytona.
MRN is live in Daytona Beach, Florida for today's NASCAR Winston Cup action in the pole shootout. Would you look at this field? It's going to be hard to pick a winner in this one.
Yeah, this is always a great race. Each driver has earned their spot by being a pole winner, which means we're in for some fast action. And what better place to be than right here at Daytona?
But here we go. First race of the brand new season. I do have a few rivals in the field, but those are kind of carryovers from before. The 56 car is actually Steven is not supposed to be a rival. We're still supposed to be friends, but you could probably say he's a little upset still that the fact that he is no longer under contract with our team. So we'll kind of go with that idea, at least for the shootout here. So we have 14 laps around Daytona. And yeah, we're just going to kind of relax. We'll just kind of settle into a groove, figure out what our Honda, Civic Type R can do. I've got my upcoming team or my new teammate and Jimmy Johnson behind me. I see Dale Jr. coming up behind as well. And got Brad Keselowski looking on my outside. So it looks like they have carried over whatever information they got from Martin Truex Jr. in that one car. They carried it over. I'm going to go and try and chase after Jeff Green here. And I won't be able to do anything on my own if I don't have any of the proper help. So I'm going to see if I can let Dale Jr. go by. We're going to work with Dale Jr. in the number 3 car. We're 3 laps down, already at halfway on the fuel. And I am not too concerned. I feel like we have what we need. It's just going to be a little bit harder work this season. That's all. So some cars are coming down pit road this time by. And that actually separates me from my teammate Jimmy Johnson. We will need 4 tires and fuel no matter what happens at this point. Got the number 19 BMW coming up on me.
You gotta bring it in. We're way low on gas. The 19 car has got to run on you. All right.
We have no choice but to pit this time, Bob. If we don't pit, we're out.
Number 19, it's up high. Okay, we lost a spot. Clear all around. One car.
All right, no matter what happens, we were going to get 4 tires and fuel. I see a large majority of drivers are still out there. So they were going to have the fuel mileage. We're not going to have the fuel mileage. I'm not too entirely concerned about that. But that will give me a little bit of cause of concern for the Daytona 500 if this holds steady. It's an exhibition race. I wasn't expecting to win, but that doesn't make me happy to see. A mistake already.
Go ahead and get back on the track. You're clear.
Gonna go ahead and get back up to speed here.
He's looking to settle the score. Number 1 wants to.
Yes, I came up in front of Brad Keselowski to slow down his momentum. Didn't want him to have that momentum, carrying him too far in. So I really needed to get up in front of him, and I managed to do so. Steven W1323 is back there in the 56 car for Tony Stewart Racing. And looks like the leader is officially out of gas on the backstretch because he is not moving so fast.
He's pretty much ahead of you. You know what
I didn't realize Steven was a negative 80 angry.
Clear.
Cool. We'll accept that as it is, and I'll just keep it pushing.
Car inside.
I don't really think it's Steven being mad. It's just
We're clear.
a contractual issue that he just was unhappy with. So I don't think he really doesn't like me. We'll get it sorted out before the start of the season. No big deal.
Careful, there's some cars entering the track ahead.
Yep, leader's out of gas.
Turn number 3, yellow flag.
And we're out.
Out on the racetrack, the field works its way back to the stripe, but we are under caution in this event after a problem down in turn number.
Well, that happened.
The drivers didn't spend much time behind that Pontiac pace car today.
Well, that was good news to the guys who ran out front. More cautions would just have meant more restarts, which is more chances for you to lose positions.
The 53 car went backwards after a top 10 start.
Yeah, you could just never get it going. The car definitely didn't look as strong as it did in qualifying. That's a real shame.
The 53 car didn't do anything to improve his standing with the other drivers out there.
That certainly looks that way. I'm not sure who started everything, but it should be fun to watch over the next couple of races to see what develops.
Unfortunately, we're out of time for now. Thanks for joining us. Next up is Daytona.
So I think I see what had happened in this because thankfully the highlight reel actually caught it. If you guys don't mind, we're going to kind of diagnose this a little bit. So if you fast forward a bit here to number 7 or to reel 4, we're going to do a switch to reel 5 and you will see the 66 was hitting the number 48. That is my teammate right here. My teammate was leading the race. I did not pull up all the extra pylon and stuff because I wasn't too concerned about it. This is our first race in almost 2 months now, actually. Since the last time I recorded NASCAR Thunder 4, so I didn't pull up everything I needed, and it was kind of fun to kind of guesstimate what's going on. I thought it was Jeff Gordon because that's who I hit. Actually, it looks like it was Jimmy Johnson who was leading, who was hit by the 66. The 66 blows his motor and gets Jeff Gordon sideways, and then I, unaware, get into the 24, which sends him flying, as you can see in this freeze frame. Jeff Gordon goes flying. with the one car, and I'm already out of the race because my engine already blew up. So the big one happened because my new teammate caused the big one, and I guess it was some kind of gambit strategy that I was not aware of, which pretty much sucks. I did contemplate slowing down, and I kind of lament that I didn't, because that would have probably been a good race to have on a highlight, but it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. Preseason. Got to work out the jitters and the bugs. You know, I've been playing F1 25 for the last couple of weeks, so you guys know how it is. Well, we're out of this race. Very unfortunate circumstance. Didn't expect that one. Well, let's head back to Atlanta. Although, again, it's just an exhibition. I don't really care who won, but Bobby Bonnie does win the shootout this season after leading 3 laps. Jeff Burton finishes second. Steven winds up finishing third, showing that he probably is going to be a threat this season. Brad Keselowski fourth, Joe Nemechek fifth, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch round out your top 7. Denny Hamlin eighth, Matt Kenseth ninth, and Greg Biffle 10th. A little bit further down, we have Kevin Harvick, Dennis Setzer, who I did not realize made it into the race, Casey Kane, Elliott Sadler, David Reagan, Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishing 16th, Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, Jeff Green, and I, as well as somehow Jimmy Johnson finishing 21st after having 14 laps total. I'm beginning to think there may be a small bug there. I'll be monitoring that going forward, so I don't feel like Jimmy Johnson finished 14th or 21st after completing all the laps. I feel like he may have finished a little bit higher than that. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Well, let's head on to Atlanta and figure out what's next. Well, it was an explosive start to the season. Hopefully the Daytona 500 ends as explosive. I'll see you guys for the official start. Easy, everybody.